Welcome back again. Ynse sent me another box, so let's unpack and pot or mount what's in it. This time I knew what was coming and it came with some instructions. He certainly likes to use toilet paper because there's a lot of it. But any packing method is good when it helps getting the orchids or plants shipped to arrive in perfect condition. So let's unwrap and see what he sent me this time. The Cattleya NOID he promised me as a swap for the xaxim I sent him, and before shipping he informed me that he noticed some scale on it, but the plant had been treated, so that's mostly why he sent it bare root. Next up are two very nice divisions of Miltonia spectabilis variety moreliana, and as a coincidence, his plant originally came as a division from Ynse from the orchid saga, so now I'll have three divisions of the same mother plant. And lastly, his mounted Coelogyne fimbriata. He sent me his plant because it wasn't doing well under his growing conditions, so he said maybe it would do better under my growing conditions. As I also will be doing the aftercare and potting and mounting in the same video, this will be a long one. And if you're interested in what I do with the plants, please sit down with a cup of coffee or tea and watch the whole video, or you can skip to the chapter you wanna see. Whatever you decide, I hope you enjoy this 45-minute video. And as I commented in one of his last videos, that I really like this one, so generous as he is, he sent me a piece of his plant. Now everything's unpacked, let's start the care section. First, the Cattleya. Since Ynse mentioned that it had some scale on it and was treated, I don't want to take any chances of bringing in unwanted critters, so I'll be treating it once again, my way, before cleaning it and potting it up. Something that has proven very effective in the past is giving it a soak in water with some bleach added to it. This will burn the nasty critters, and those that survive will drown. So I left the plant sitting in the solution for just over half an hour. Bear in mind, the water temperature is approximately 23 degrees. And after the root section and the base of the plant have been soaking, I turn it upside down, so anything that could be hiding in small crevices on the plant will be eliminated too. And because the plant is too big to be fully immersed into the solution, I pour the bleach water over the bulbs again and again. This process also took me about 20 minutes. Please do not use this treatment on orchids that are grown on or with live moss, because this treatment also kills off the mosses and algae, so be warned. After the bleach treatment, I flush the orchid with pure RO water, again rinsing off bleach residue and letting the roots absorb more pure water. And since I don't like a messy or wet workspace, a cleanup of the table before going on, for me, always is a necessity. After this time-consuming disinfecting process, it's time to start cleaning up the plant. First, all the remaining bark that's stuck to the roots will be removed. This will also help the now very flexible roots to be placed and twisted around when potting up, and with little chance these will break when doing this. It also became very clear that this orchid has a very good and healthy root system, so Ynse really took care of it very well. In many cases, only a few roots near the newest grow points are still good and functioning, but this plant has many good roots, even all the way back to its first grow point. So removing dead or damaged roots won't take up too much time. This Cattleya also has a branching root system, so I can easily cut back some long and healthy roots. Some of you may think, why is he doing all this on a Cattleya against all advice and rules? There's an easy answer. I rather set the plant back for 1 year than having to deal with the possibility of unwanted creepy crawlers anywhere in my collection. So this plant will also be quarantined for at least 6 weeks until I'm sure there's nothing crawling around anymore. And I don't blame Ynse for sending me this orchid, because he notified me in advance and was honest about it. I know how he loves his orchids and tries to stay on top of things, and I'm really happy with this gifted plant. I guess anyone growing orchids already knows how to separate good from bad roots, but I'll mention it again. Roots that feel squishy and not firm are dead, and since we grow our orchids in media, these are starting to rot, which will be harmful for your plant in the future. But keep in mind, not all dark or creamy brown roots are dead ones. This simply is discoloration due to the media we grow it in. And after cleaning up the roots, it's time to remove all sheets from the bulbs and the rhizome. Because this plant has been soaking for a long time, the sheets have become very weak and are easily removed. And by peeling them off, I also eliminate more hiding places for any bugs. I also will remove all dried out flower sheets, as in these crevices, bugs also like to hide. Here's a look at the cleaned up root system and the rest of the plant. And finally, it's time to pot up the orchid. I will be using a clear pot, diameter 15 centimeters or 6 inches. And as a potting mix, I will only use coarse bark. Because of the large root system, it will be a bit of a challenge to get the plant in there, but this is a compact growing Cattleya with short internodes between the bulbs, so it should do fine in it for at least the next 2 or 3 years. First, I must get all the roots into the pot, and then by gently twisting the pot around and slowly lowering the plant, it will fit nicely. Cattleyas like their roots to dry out quite quickly, so you shouldn't overpot it, because otherwise potting media will stay wet for too long, resulting in dying and rotting roots. And when the plant is finally in its place, I start adding the media, pressing it down quite firmly and in between the roots. For most of my repottings, I like to use dry bark because it's way easier to handle and slides down way easier than when the bark is wet. The cracking sound you might hear isn't the roots breaking, but the bark being pressed in place. And although the Cattleya is firmly standing in its pot, to finish off, I will put in a stake, and with some bonsai wire, I will bring together the bulbs so the bulbs stand up more and are pushed closer together, and so minimize the chance of any bug, if still present or alive, to move over to another orchid in future. However, after quarantine, I will remove the stake and the wire so the orchid can grow on in a more natural way. And here's the end result. To make sure the pot won't tip over, I put it in a decorative pot. This also keeps algae from growing on the insides of the clear pot, and I can still see how the roots are progressing in the future. Another important thing when growing or potting Cattleyas, always make sure the rhizome stays above the growing media, otherwise chances are the rhizome will stay wet and starts rotting. And up to the next chapter, cleaning up and mounting the Miltonia cuttings. For those who follow me, you might remember getting this cutting from the Orchid Saga just over a week ago. And since they all originate from the same plant, I will unpot it and mount them all together. I will be mounting them all in the same way by growing them on 3 fern chunks. These are cubes measuring 5 by 5 centimeters or 2 by 2 inch, and I'll cut them in the middle so I can sandwich some of the roots. remaining pieces of flower spikes and sheaths are removed to give the plant a nice and fresh appearance. Such cleanups I always do when new plants arrive, no matter where they come from. Since I know the original mother plant was treated for fusarium, I will cut off a small piece of the rhizome to see if it's clean. And boy, am I lucky, the rhizome is completely clean, so it must have outgrown the fusarium infection of the mother plant. Now I will seal it off and disinfect the wound with cinnamon powder. Miltonia spectabilis and its hybrids are very rambling growers, so when mounting the cuttings I must make sure that all existing roots are in or touching the tree fern pieces. This way they can attach themselves and even grow into it. I secure every cutting to its own piece of tree fern, and to fix them on I use my cotton wire. The reason I use this type of twine is because it doesn't cut in the roots or the rhizome, and in time when the plants have attached themselves, the twine will disintegrate and can be taken off quite easily. Wherever I can, I won't use fish wire, because this can really cut into your orchids and damage them when not removed in time. And in a large collection, things like that can easily happen. As mentioned before, I will add Ylse's cutting to the new mound. To create a larger artificial stem, I took a longer piece of tree fern, and this will be used as a base to mount the other pieces onto, so they can grow as wild as they want, climbing sideways and upwards. So now the puzzling begins, and I will attach the 3 smaller mounds separately. Finally, to secure all pieces, I use some bonsai wire to hold them all together. This will give them a good growing environment for years to come. and to give the mound a sturdy base, I'm putting it in a glazed pot with drainage holes, and I filled up the bottom with very coarse bark. Then I can place the mound in it and fill up with small bark. I will also be adding some small growing bromeliads that not only will give it a nicer look in time, but also helps with a more humid growing environment for the Miltonia which it needs to thrive. With the exception of the Coelogyne, on which I'm still doing research on how to grow it best, here are the finished results. Thanks for watching, hope you liked this long video, and be sure to watch my next upload because it's gonna be a special announcement, so don't miss it.